Welcome to my first guide for Final Fantasy XIV. My name is Kuni. I am a new streamer from Spain, but I actually decided to start doing some guides of the game in English, so forgive me if I miss some words. The first thing I want to say, this is a full in-depth guide of how to play every class in Final Fantasy XIV, so if you are looking for something to start raiding or doing high-end content, this is the place you're gonna learn whatever you need to actually do your job well. I'm not gonna give this typical kind of advices like stone out the fire or keep up your dots, these kind of things. I assume you have watched enough guides, so you can have a little notion of what things you need to do. So I'm gonna jump straight into the guide and I'm gonna tell you how to play Dragoon. I'm gonna be starting by reviewing this kind of skills the class have. Then I'm going to go from the very basic rotation to how to put all your skills into the rotation, opener, tips for raiding, dungeons and all the stuff. So it's gonna be a very deep guide, it's gonna be a long one, so let's start. Dragoon is one of the 4 melee DPS class in Final Fantasy XIV. You actually got Ninja, Samurai, Monk and Dragoon. Dragoon for me is typically the most easier class to play, so I think it's a good point to start to give a grasp for people to start playing the game. If you started with Dragoon, it's a really nice choice for a beginner. I'm gonna explain it to you, not only how to perform your rotation and your skills, I'm also going to explain you why you need to use certain skills in certain moments, why you need to hold it sometimes. For Dragoon, you actually can see my screen because I was doing this for direct on Twitch. I forgot to record it, so I am doing this again for YouTube. So if people missed it, can check it and take your own path to explore the guide and rewatch it if you need to rewatch certain parts, so you can really get into how to do your rotation and stuff. Okay, so first of all, I'm here. Here is outside of Colusia. You can teleport to Yulmore and then use the teleport to get outside and get to this place. Here there is a guy who teleports you to a place where there are certain target dummies, so you can practice your rotation and see if you meet the required DPS to kill some bosses. And why I'm here and why I'm not on my free company, because every time you enter here and every time you go out, your cooldowns of every ability are resetted, so you can actually try and practice your opener and you don't have to wait 1 or 2 minutes every time you want to start again. The first thing you have, like I have on my first bar, are the skills you need for the first 2 chains of skills for Dragoon. The first one you're gonna get is True Thrust, into Purple Thrust, into Full Thrust. This is the very basic of the class, okay? So every time you're gonna press a skill, there is a 2.48 recast time between every skill you want to use, and you can fit any other skills in between that are not on the global cooldown. So which skills are on the global cooldown and which skills are off global cooldown. Okay, so the very basics, like the normal combos, are on the global cooldown, and the buffs and the jumps for the Dragoon are off global cooldown. So I'm gonna start telling you which are the 2 chains you're gonna have. The first one you're gonna have is True Thrust, into Purple Thrust, into Full Thrust, and later you're gonna be using also Fang and Claw and Willing Thrust. This is one of the chains. The other chains will be True Thrust, that is the same for both chains of skills. True Thrust, into Disembowel, into Chaos Thrust, into Willing Thrust, and the last one will be Fang and Claw. It's the reverse order for the last 2 skills. So I want to show you on the dummy. I'm gonna get to the Shiva's dummy. It's actually Savage tier 8, so it's the last boss, and I'll be unlocking it later. But first I want to show you what do you want to learn in order to pass this striking damage. So first of all, the skill we have, we're gonna be popping always Blood of the Dragon. Blood of the Dragon is a self buff you're gonna get. I'm gonna explain it in a minute, but you're gonna use it so you can use all the skills on your chain. So I'm gonna start with the first skill. So it's gonna be through thrust. It will open two ways. One will be Vorpal or Disembowel. If I go Vorpal Strike, the next one will be full thrust. The next one will be Fawn and Claw, and the last one will be Willing Thrust. For the other combo, we are gonna start with True Thrust, or it upgraded to Radiant Thrust, into Disembowel, into Chaos Thrust, into Willing Thrust, and Fang Claw. This part is pretty simple and easy because all the skills are gonna to be light up when you need to press them, so it's pretty easy to follow. Okay. So the first thing you notice is when I use what I did the first chain of the combo is that True Thrust transformed into a Vorpal Thrust, or it's Radiant Thrust. Radiant Thrust is just an upgraded version of True Thrust. It just changed the skill, so it's Radiant Thrust, and it's just simply more powerful. So if you are doing your combos correctly, your chains correctly, you're gonna get your True Thrust change into Radiant Thrust. So this part is pretty easy, okay? So what to notice on these skills? So we're gonna be reviewing a bit the skills that are on each of the chains. You're gonna notice that True Thrust, Vorpal, and Full Thrust, they just do damage. They don't have any kind of different components of them. It's simple raw damage, okay? And Fan and Claw and Willing Thrust for the first combo chain, they do additional effects, like, for example, Willing Thrust executed from the rear, from the back of the boss, they're gonna be more damage. And they're gonna stand the effect of your Blooded Dragon for some seconds, so you don't lose it. Also, Fan and Claw will do the same. It gains more damage, and it also do more damage when hitting from the flank. Okay. For your second combo, Disembowel puts a buff on you. It's like 10% of your damage, so you need to always keep it up. And Chaos Thrust also have a rear combo potency increase if you do it from the rear, and puts a dot or damage over time on your target for 24 seconds, okay? Okay, so which skills do we have that have some kind of positional component? Actually, we have only 3. We have Fawn and Claw, that is going from the flanks, or from the side, Chaos Thrust, and Willing Thrust, that both of them are from the rear, okay? I see a lot of people always moving around your kind of targets, like clueless chicken. You don't want to be a clueless chicken, okay? Do you want to be whenever you need to be and wherever you need to be in that kind of moment, and forget about the rest, okay? So I'm gonna give you a simple tip to remember where do you need to position every time you're doing these combos, okay? So the first thing you need to know is we are going to start with the second chain for our opener and our rotation, and that's why Disembowel gives you the 10% damage buff up, and Chaos Thrust hits really hard, the dot component hits really hard, and do you want to have it as sooner and the longest time possible on your target, okay? So in our first chain combo, the 2 skills that have like a positional component are actually Chaos Thrust and Willing Thrust. First, they are both from the rear, and then we are going to go Fang and Claw, that's front flanks. We are gonna start fights always behind the boss. I'm gonna go to the dummy, and I'm gonna position myself, and I'm gonna keep explaining this. This is the boss. The arrow is always pointing to the north or the front part of the boss. The open space here is the rear, and the flanks are just the sides, so don't stand in front. So you basically want to start always your encounters on the back, but not always on the back, because the bosses are gonna be so much bigger, the circles are gonna be so much bigger, so you want to stay on the open part but closer to the sides. So the first combo we're gonna use, I'm gonna lie down here, it's gonna be True Thrust, into Disembowel, into Chaos Thrust, from the back, Willing Thrust, from the back, and then we're gonna switch to the side for Fun and Claw. The moment you switch to the flank for Fun and Claw, you're gonna be there until you need to swap again to the rear. So if I put it here, I'm gonna put up my Blood of the Dragon first, because we're always wanting to be using Blood of the Dragon and keeping it up. Okay, so the first chain I'm gonna use is True Thrust from the back, into Disembowel, into Chaos Thrust, into Willing Thrust, both of them from the rear, and then switching to the side for Fun and Claw. If we do it correctly, it's gonna be upgraded to Rhythm Thrust. We're gonna be on the side, Rhythm Thrust. Vorpal Thrust doesn't have any kind of component. Full Thrust. The next one is gonna be Fun and Claw from the side, and the next one is gonna be again Willing Thrust from the back. And Rhythm Thrust is gonna be light up again. So as you can see, the only moment you need to swap from back to the sides or flanks, and from the flanks to the back again, is the moment you are going to go from Fun and Claw to Willing Thrust, or from Willing Thrust to Fun and Claw, depending on which of the chains you are using on that moment. So it's not that hard, you don't need to be moving around every time and everywhere. And I'm gonna give you a tip also. If I'm going to use Disembowel, for example, the first chain into Chaos Thrust, into Willing Thrust, it doesn't matter. It only matters and check the positional on the time I'm pressing the skill. So I can press it and I can move, and even if the animation is going on, the damage is actually done and the position is actually checked. So I'm using Fun and Claw here, I'm going to the back, I'm going to end the animation of Fun and Claw on the back, but it already checked it like if it was from the flanks. So you don't need to stay all the time like waiting for the animation to go on so you can move on later. So you can actually just press the button and then move. Next thing I'm going to explain is Blood of the Dragon. Blood of the Dragon is a self buff you need to maintain every time you can maintain, and they have some benefits. One of them is increases the damage of high jump and spine side dive by 30%. Okay, and it grants you the ability to cast Willing Thrust and Fun and Claw on your chains, otherwise they will not light up. So keep in mind you always need to be having Blood of the Dragon active every time during all the fight. It's pretty easy to maintain it, you don't really need to be worrying about much, because Fun and Claw and Willing Thrust, they are going to extend the duration of Blood of the Dragon on you every time you hit one of those skills. And also, Burst Streak, Blood of the Dragon lasts for 30 seconds, but it only have 25-second cooldown. So if you feel you are going to drop Blood of the Dragon because you can hit the boss on that moment, the mobs, you need to move out of the EOEs, you are in a transition phase or something like that, just press Blood of the Dragon. Even if you have it, it will refresh your time up to 30 seconds and you won't lose it. And you can do it whenever you want, because it will get your timer to 30 and it will come off of the cooldown in 25 seconds. So you have 5 seconds to react after you use it actually. So that's really nice to have. So you don't need to worry about. The only moment you really need to worry about is that if you are like being on a boss or a fight that has some kind of transition from one platform to another, there's a cinematic in the middle that is pretty annoying and it lasts so long. For example, on Shiva, you can press it right in the moment before. You don't want to drop your Blood of the Dragon because there's a mechanic called Life of the Dragon that I'm going to display more in advance, and you don't want to also lose it or the capacity to actually use it. We have our two basic chains, so I'm gonna be jumping again into the buffs, and then I'm going to do the gems. Okay, so for the buff part, we have 4 buffs actually that increase our damage in a certain way or another. We have Lance Charge, we have Dragon Sight, we have Battle Litany, and we have Life Surge. Okay, Lance Charge is pretty easy, it's just a 50% increase of damage. It lasts for 20 seconds. We have Dragon Sight, it gives you a self buff of 10% and 5% damage for someone in the party if we are targeting them, or just give the 10% to us, but we want to share it because we want our party to have some buffs too. And the other buffs we have is Battle Litany, is a 10% damage increase on critical strike for all the raid. Dragoons are so much loved for this skill in particular. And Life Surge, it gives you a critical strike for sure with your next skill, and it heals you for the damage done. You want to use it with the skill or the weapon skill you have that hits harder, and in this case it will always be full thrust, always. So you save Life Surge for full thrust, and every time it comes off global cooldown you're gonna be using it in full thrust. Buffs, you need to use them every time they come off the global cooldown after you use your opener. Okay, so it goes for Battle Litany. And for Dragon Sight, you'll notice that I have a macro here that is actually for Dragon Sight. I don't really like macros on this game, but I'm gonna show you mine. Here, the thing I'm doing is that I'm using the cast Dragon Sight on the people who's the number 8 on my party. In this case, for my static that I play with a group of friends of Final Fantasy XIV. The 8th guy on my list is always a Black Mage. If you need to cast Dragon Sight of someone in your party, the classes that they are going to get the most out of it, they're gonna be Black Mage, Samurai, and Summoner. If you have one of those, this is the priority. If not, just consider to use it to the guys who's closer to you in that case. So if you have a Summoner, a Black Mage, or a Samurai in your party, use it on them. And one thing you need to keep in mind when you're raiding is that a lot of times during a fight, the platform is gonna be split, or the groups need to split in 2 different groups, 1 and 2, left or right, north or south, and you always want to be using Dragon Sight on the DPS that goes with you. So if you are on west position for melee, your Black Mage should be on the west position for range. So the time you're gonna use Dragon Sight, he is in range, because there's certain range you can use it and it works. If not, the tether will break and you'll get the buff, but the other person won't get the 5% increase of the damage. So keep that in mind. With this macro, the only thing I'm not doing is just like I don't need to click on my comrade to target the Dragon Sight on him. I just click it, and if he is in range, he's gonna get the tether. You see, when you're always playing, you have your party settings. You're gonna see in your party right here. Okay, like for example, if I take my, it's not the same, but if I take out my Chocobo, it's gonna appear here as my party. But when you have the full list here, the order when they appear is not the same that if you look here in the party members option. On the party members option, when you are in a party, there's gonna be a list, and it doesn't necessarily match with the ones you see here. Okay, so keep it in mind. I maybe might see my Black Mage here on the 6th position, for example, but in reality, if I check the party member list, he's gonna be on the last one. If you're having problems with this kind of macros, this might be the problem. You need to check on the party member window if that person is in the correct spot for you to get a buff or link or whatever you want to do. And then I'm gonna start with the jumps. The most basic is jump. It's gonna be upgraded to high jump at level 74. It's just the same skill, but does more damage and have like sword animation. We have Spine Shutter Dive, single target damage, and it also relocates you to the position. It makes you really jump to that position. High Jump doesn't. High Jump just hit the target and it's like you go back to your position. Dragonfire Dive also relocates you onto the target you're going. Star Diver also relocates you, it's another area of effect damage. And you have elusive jump, is just for repositioning, okay? If you get hit while jumping, even if you don't appear on your screen, you're gonna be dead. And if you use a jump in the middle of an AoE, you're gonna be dead because all the jumps have what's called like a lock animation. So when you are jumping, you can't move, you can't take any other actions, you are just like stuck on that moment, on that place, and after the animation, while the animation is going, you can move, you can do nothing, so you need to wait. So you have like 1 second, 2 seconds of time that you cannot correct any kind of movement or anything. So keep that in mind. This is the first thing why Dragoons die so much, because you need to have like a deep understanding, a very good grip on a fight or a boss, so you know when you can use your jumps and don't die because there's gonna be to appear like some kind of mechanic or something that is going to kill you. When you jump, you're gonna be granted a dive ready, it's a buff that is gonna let you use Mirage Dive, that's a range attack, in a 15 seconds window after you're using the jump. Every time you use high jump, you want to use Mirage Dive after. Normally, you can fit 2 skills on the off global cooldown between every skill of your chain, okay? For Dragoons, there's an exception. Don't try to use jumps and any other off global cooldown between 2 skills, okay? So I can use, for example, Lance Chairs on Dragon side between a True Thrust and a Vorpal Thrust, it's fine. But don't try to fit, for example, Lance Chairs and Spine Shutter or Lance Chairs with Dragonfire. You shouldn't be using because the animation is so long that it will take longer than actually the 2.48 seconds of recast, and you will lose DPS. The general rule is that usually use your jumps on cooldown, okay? That's the general rule. So I'm going to do, for example, True Thrust into Vorpal and Full Thrust, and I'm gonna throw in between Jump and Spine Shutter Dive, so you can see. Okay, and I'm gonna use Jump. Jump goes to target and gets you back. It's pretty fast. And for Vorpal, Spine Shutter, you notice it led me on the same point I jump, so that's pretty much it. Don't try to use 2 of lower cooldowns between because they won't fit. Okay, so we know how the jumps works. The only one I'm missing is a Star Diver, so I'm gonna be explaining it later, and Elusive Jump. Okay, Elusive Jump is easy. Execute the jump, allocation 15 jumps behind you. Cannot be executed while bound. Okay, so this is gonna relocate us. Just like jumping backwards, you can use it in 2 different situations. A lot of people use it just defensively, like trying to run out of some kind of area of effect, but you can also use this offensively. So if you need to get back to a boss, to a mob, relocate yourself, just use it. Just turn your camera in the opposite direction and use your jump, and you get there. I can use it to jump from here back. Okay, pretty easy. But I can also use it if I'm just like far away from the boss. I can turn backward the boss and use the jump, and it will take me to the boss again. Okay, just keep in mind there are 2 options. You can use it normally for escaping certain death, but you can also use it as a gap closer. Okay, actually, Spine Shutter Dive and Dragon Dive also relocates you, but I advise you to use it on cooldown, because if you don't use them, you will end up losing a lot and tons of DPS, because as soon as they are on cooldown, as soon you can use it again, and you're gonna be missing casts during your fight, so use them on cooldown. For mobility, try to use Elusive Jump and a Sprint. Okay, so for example, if I need to run from an AoE and this is the boss, I'm gonna use a sprint probably. I'm gonna be running, and when I need to get back to the boss, I'll use it into the boss and I can continue my combo normally. It's pretty easy, pretty simple. I'm gonna show you how to do the opener of the Dragoon, and the last thing I need to explain you is gonna be the life of the Dragon cycle. That is gonna be the last thing we need to implement in our rotation and the last thing we need to implement in our opener, okay? But let me explain the opener. I'm gonna do the opener one time. You're gonna see it clearly, how to do it. First I'm gonna explain it so you know why you are doing the opener like this. Because I saw the guy that's playing the opener, but this is the opener, just do like this, okay? I want to understand the things I'm doing, okay? So if I need to correct something in a future or something like that, I really will know how to do it. So, for example, if I'm using Blood of the Dragon, okay, for the opener, that's the first thing I need to have it up, okay? So I'll use Blood of the Dragon. Blood of the Dragon up the first time, before pull. So we're gonna start from the back of the boss. We're gonna do True Thrust. We're gonna do Disembowel. So the first thing, the first chain we're gonna do is Disembowel into Chaos Thrust, into Wheeling Thrust, into Fan and Claw. And the second chain we're gonna do is the Vorpal Thrust, Full Thrust, Fan and Claw, Wheeling Thrust, okay? So which skills go where? You're gonna be using True Thrust. You want to get to your Chaos Thrust with all your buffs up. So how many skills do we have in between? So we only have True Thrust, Disembowel, and then Chaos Thrust. So it's 2. So we need to fit our buffs between those. So when you use True Thrust, you need to fit in between Lance Charge and Dragon Sight, between True Thrust and Disembowel. It will be True Thrust, Lance Charge, Dragon Sight, Disembowel, okay? And when we press Disembowel, we're gonna cast in Battle Litany, so we'll have all the free buffs, only one of global cooldown skill in between, and then we're gonna be using Chaos Thrust. So our Chaos Thrust actually will get the 15% from Lance Charge, it will get the 10% from Dragon Sight, and it will get the crit component chance of Battle Litany. Then after that, we're gonna be moving into Wheeling Thrust, and we are going to be moving to Fan and Claw. And after this point, after we use Fan and Claw, we are gonna start rotating our jumps. Why now? Why can't we start doing it before? Okay, the reason is pretty simple. From a raid environment, all the raid buffs, most of them, they're gonna be used by the other classes between the 4 or after the 5 global cooldown, between 5 and 6 global cooldown, like for example Ninja Streak Attack, or if you have like any kind of other buff like Brotherhood from a monk or any other skills. So the critical moment when you are raiding and you have a group and all the buffs are up, it's between the 5th and the 6th global cooldown. So we are gonna be delaying our jumps so they fit in there. So if you check it, if I'm going the normal rotation, True Thrust into Disembowel into Chaos Thrust, into Wheeling, into Fang, is 1 skill, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And after Fan and Claw, I'm gonna start rotating my jumps. And that's the reason why the jump goes here and it doesn't go, for example, after Wheeling Thrust. We're gonna be using our buffs at the start, because they last for 20 seconds. There are a lot of other buffs on the raid that will last like 10 or 15 seconds or even less. So the Dragoon have this kind of buffs that last for 20 seconds. So it's easy to maintain in, and you will get to your jumps when you have also your Lance, Dragon Sight, Battle Litany up, okay? So the rotation will be the opener, like True Thrust, Lance Charge, Dragon Sight, into Disembowel, Battle Litany, Chaos Thrust, Wheeling Thrust, Fan and Claw. After Fan and Claw, we're gonna start jumping. Okay? First jump, after Fan and Claw. The next will be True Thrust or Raiden Thrust, because it's upgraded, because we did it all well. And after Raiden Thrust, we're gonna Spine Shadow Dive. Vorpal Thrust. And here's the question. we need to cast Dragon Fire Dive too, but we didn't use Life Surge. Remember the rule. The rule is you use your Life Surge with Fall Thrust. So I'm gonna be using Vorpal Thrust. I'm gonna be delaying my Dragon Fire. Gonna start with my Blood of the Dragon up. Okay. I'm gonna be starting after the first skill. Lance Sight. Disembowel, crit for sure. Chaos Thrust, not jumping. Willing. After Fan Claw, first jump. Skill, second jump. Vorpal, Geskogul, Life Surge into full thrust. Our last jump. Fan Claw, Mirror's Dive. And Willing Thrust. This is the opening. Okay, I'm gonna do that again so you can see. I'm gonna tell you again how to do it, and I'm gonna do it again, okay? Fan and Claw, and after Fan and Claw, we will have the Mirage Dive buff, because we jumped like before, and it lasts for 15 seconds, so this is the moment you need to breathe the Mirage Dive, and then we're gonna be finishing with Willing Thrust. So it's the two chains of the Dragoon, the Chaos Thrust one, and the Full Thrust one, with all the buffs in there and all the jumps in there, all the global cooldowns, and after this point you need to maintain and press, you need to do your rotation normally, and you need to be pressing your buffs and jumps in between as soon as they come up, okay? I'm gonna do the opener right now, and then I'm going to explain the Life of the Dragon cycle. That is something you need to fit in there, and how to maintain it, how to use it, and some tip of tricks they have for the opener or the first minute of the fight, okay? It's a bit confusing, but if you watch it a couple of times and practice it, you're gonna get pretty simple, okay? One buff, two buffs, Disembowel, third buff, into Chaos Thrust. Willing Thrust, we're moving to the side. Fan and Glow. First jump, Rhythm Thrust, second jump, Vorpal, Geskogul, critical for sure, full thrust, and third jump, Fan and Claw, Mirror's Dive. Finish your second combo, and this is it. On the velocity jump part, I missed one thing, and this is a pretty cool tip, if you want to use it correctly, okay? For example, if you are not sure if you're gonna fall off of the platform when using a velocity jump, try to be in the middle of the platform, okay? How can you do this? Without losing DPS. If this is a boss, and the boss is pretty big, for example, you're gonna be missing your positionals if you are inside the circle of the boss. So you can pop your True North, this is a skill that all melee have, and it nullifies all action direction requirements for skills. So I can be doing normally my rotation with Disembowel. If I need to hit Chaos from the back, use True North, I can use it, stay on top of the boss, use a little bit jump, and as you see, I'm still on the platform. So it's a pretty neat trick. You won't lose as much as DPS using True North because of the positional, and you can be on top of the boss, so you can use it and save your ass. Okay, I'm gonna be addressing the life of the cycle now. It's gonna be the last part you need to understand, and the last thing you need to incorporate into your rotation in case you want to raid, okay? Blood of the Dragon. How can you activate the Life of the Dragon cycle? Every 2 Mirage Dives, you're gonna be entering the life cycle whenever you use Geskogul, okay? There's gonna be an eye opening here every time I use Mirage Dive. And the first time it will open a bit, the second time it will go like full open, and when I press Geskogul, I'm going to get into the Life of the Dragon cycle. It's like, you get like a red aura, a 30 seconds timer, and on that timer you can use 2 other skills. One is called Nastrond. It's gonna replace Geskogul. It's actually the same skill, just different appearance. It's gonna be red. It's like, it has like 10 seconds cooldown, so you can use it 3 times during your Life of the Dragon cycle, and you're gonna be able to use Star Diver 1 time inside your Life of the Dragon cycle. Normally, Do you want to enter the life of the dragon cycle as soon as possible, but not on your opener? Do you want to delay one jump until you get in there without losing any eyes granted by the mirror's dive? Like, for example, you need to have Blood Dragon up, you just jump, the first mirror dive, okay? You notice the eyes open, so the next time I'm gonna jump, it will full open, and when I'll use Chaos Kugel, it's gonna change to Nastron. We need to maintain our Blood Dragon, as I told you before. Okay, second mirror dive. Gonna press it, you see the eye open, and this is light up. If I use Chaos Kugel, it's a 30 seconds timer. I can use Nastron, 10 seconds cooldown, so I can fit 3 here. I can keep doing my rotation, using my jumps, everything I told you how to do. This is a second Nastron, and you can fit one more here. Okay, so you can fit 3. If you fit the 3, it's nice. And there's a Star Diver. It's a jump, a normal jump that does area of damage. It repositions yourself. Okay, it's pretty flashy, pretty cool. And that's what it is. It's not much hard to understand. The thing you need to understand here is that the first time you enter life of the dragon cycle, you want to delay it, because there's a moment you can be using almost two life cycle one after another, and it will be at the same time that the raid buffs will align. So the raid buffs and your own personal buffs will align, so you get the most benefit of the damage you're doing in that moment. For example, if I delay for one skill, for one jump, entering life cycle, my lens shares will come off cooldown, and I can fit 2 Nastrons and a Star Diver inside my lens charge. Okay? The only time you need to delay it is on the opener. I'm gonna show you, okay? I'm gonna start my opener normally. 1, 2, disembowel, third buff. William, Fun and Glow, start jumping, second jump, oh wow, I missed here. I missed up a bit, but don't worry. Okay, we're gonna be keeping our rotation, okay? Fine. How we can delay it and not losing Mirror's Dive on the meantime. Okay, now I'm gonna use jump. If I press Mirror's Dive now, next time I cast Gear School, I'm gonna get entered into life cycle. But if I cast first Gear School and then Mirror's Dive the second time, okay, I'm gonna be delaying it by 1. I'm gonna be using Gear School, so I don't wait 30 seconds more to use that cast, and I'm gonna be having the 2 eyes for the next time it comes off global cooldown, and my third jump is going off cooldown, so I can actually put 1 Mirror's Dive inside the life cycle. Okay, this is the only thing you need to do on your opener, and it's gonna be a bit different because you're gonna be using an entry and life cycle after that, like every time you have it, okay? I'm gonna be showing you, and I'm going to do the full rotation right now. I'm gonna try to not mess it up while I'm talking. I'm teaching you how to do it, okay? And look it, actually, this is the Edinburgh's Refulgent Savage, Shiva on Savage. We're gonna start Blood Dragon. Prepares a skill, 2 buffs, Disembowel, Battle Litany, Chaos, Wind Thrust, Fun and Glow, first jump, Raven, second jump, Borpal, Geskorgul, Life Surge, full thrust, Dragon, okay, and Wind Thrust. Okay, now we have all on cooldown. We're gonna be keeping doing all rotation normally. You're gonna notice that now we're gonna be getting the jump, but we do not want to use the mirror to dive before. We're gonna be casting Gear School before. Okay, we're gonna jump now. We don't want to use Mirror's Dive, so we don't enter cycle. Just go on Mirror Dive. Now we have both on cooldown, but we didn't enter the life cycle, so we keep doing our rotation. This is pretty easy. We're gonna be using jumps and stuff as soon as they come off lower cooldown. So the next thing we're gonna use here is gonna be the first jump. We have Mirror's Dive. And now we're gonna be entering one first and last round. Okay, Chaos Rat, Mirror's Dive. We have one eye and we are inside. We do not want to use Star Diver yet because we need to fit the two Nastrons and the Star Diver inside of the lens chairs. I fit the first Nastron, the Star Diver with the lens chairs, and keep doing a rotation normally. The jump is global cooldown, so last Nastron inside the lens, and the Chaos Rat inside the lens chairs buff. And now we're gonna get a second one after this one. This is the second life cycle. You're gonna be doing all this damage inside the right window. 4 buffs. And Dragon side here. So you're gonna get 2 Nastrons and another Star Diver and another Chaos Rat inside the window of your Dragon side. It's gonna be tons of damage. I'm missing some cast here. Okay, don't look at me too much because I'm trying to fit it while talking. But you get the idea, okay? The first time you want to relight by 1 time, so you can have 2 full cycles inside your lens chairs and Dragon side buff. Okay. And then that's it. You're gonna be pressing everything off global cooldown. For example, Life Surge now, I'm gonna be using with the full thrust now. Well, it's actually dead and I've been like a bit AFK, okay? But you get the idea. You're gonna be using all your skill here. This is actually the rotation with all your jumps, all your buffs in it, how to manage your life of the dragon. And that's pretty much it for the opening and the rotation. The last thing I want to cover, and it's gonna be fast, I promise, this is taking so long, but if you really want to play Dragoon, if you really want to get into a readiness scenario, and you want to do it well, this is the way. This is the only way. I'm not sponsored by Disney here. This is the way. Okay, or any Mandalorians here. So, which skills are missing? We are missing Piercing Talon. We are not gonna use it. You can almost remove it from your bar. The only time you want to use Piercing Talon is when you are far away from the boss. You don't have any chains ongoing because you will cut the combos or the chains if you use Piercing Talon, so I don't advise to use it. We have a stun if we need it for a fight when you have like a nav you need to stun or something. You have Arm Slide that nullifies most knockback and drowning effects, so you want to use this if you're going to get knockback, you want to have time on the boss or something if possible, if not dying. Bloodbath and Second Wind, they are both for healing, so you give some time for your Glare Mage actually to start doing more glares, because you know White Mage are actually Glare Mage, they only do DPS. And they get mad if they need to heal you by more than they are really intended to. We have Feint, that this is important for bosses that do like large AoE effects of damage, or Tank Buster that are actually physical damage. Actually in this tier most of them they are magical damage, so you don't have to use Feint. For example, one I noticed that is actually physical damage is if you are doing Warrior Like on a stream, El Dragon Dive. It's physical, so you can put Feint in there. I think the Tank Buster on that fight is also physical. The last thing you want to know, and it's gonna be fast, is how to use the AoE rotation. This is super simple, you don't have to think much about it. For example, for dungeons, you want to be using your buffs also, and your jumps in the trash. Okay, don't hold it, it doesn't make much sense to hold them. The rotation is Doom Spike into Sonic Thrust into Gorathan Torment. Okay. This is a linear attack, Conal, and a line attack again. a couple of tips I want to give you is, for example, when I'm doing a rotation, if I look, I use live search with Coret and Torment, because every mob that got hit by Coret and Torment is gonna be critical strike. Every mob you hit is gonna be a critical strike. It will heal you for a turn, it will do tons of damage. The last tip I'm going to give you for area of attack damage is that, for example, if I use Tone Spike here, Sonic Fast, Coret and Torment. Is it right? No, it isn't. There's like a mistake here. Common mistake, very common mistake. Okay. You possibly don't notice, but this is where you want to use the area of attacks. Because every time you are doing auto attacks, you will lose a lot of damage if you are not hitting these auto attacks. Because every time you use a skill, sometimes you notice it will feed auto attacks, and the auto attacks are actually, look, it's like half of the damage I'm doing it. Like half of the damage of one skill is the auto attack. So if you are like every single Malay or Dragoon like doing away from here, okay, you are hitting the damage, but you can do like 50% more damage just to sit in like on the mob and trying to, you know, relocate yourself so you can hit all the mobs. If you are interested on the stats you need to have, you want to have always critical, then direct hit, then determination, that's the order. You want to fit the materials in that order. For food, for example, I'm using Stab at Highland Cabbage, give me determination, critical strike, vitality. Okay, pretty simple things. Always brings food to every pack or raid. If you're doing extreme content or savage content, bring food. Potions, not really needed until you want to push up. And if you're poor, okay, because that costs a lot of money, and use like 2 free potions for every try. But food is essential. You need to bring food and have your materials on. So thank you for your time. Thank you if you made up to the end of this video. I hope you learned something. If you don't, rewatch some parts when you have like any doubts. If not, you can contact me. I usually make question and answer on Twitch if you want to be on a direct. I'm gonna be making more guides. The next guide probably will be summer. It's gonna be a pretty hard guide to go through. I hope you enjoyed. If you enjoyed, if you learned something more than the classical, typical things people can tell you about your class, please like this video, subscribe if you want to, so it will boost my morale so I can keep doing this kind of guides. So see you. Kuni out, guys.